When I was joining my first IT company, I was fortunate enough to have someone to show me the ropes, who told me before my first day what I could expect and how I could prepare myself beforehand to first of all make a good impression, because let's not be shy about it. First impressions do matter. And second of all, to minimize my stress. And when I tell you I was stressing out like crazy, I really did, because I just pivoted my career from teaching other people to becoming a junior front-end developer with basically zero knowledge of how IT companies work and what I could expect. The pointers I got from that person, they were lifesavers. I cannot stress it enough how helpful they were. I was able to get ahead and learn tools and ways of working before my first day. It was still stressful, don't get me wrong, I think it always is, but I was able to take some of that stress and pressure off, and it was a huge relief. So right now, I want to do the same for you. This particular series is for anyone who wants to or will join an IT company anytime soon, or for anyone that is curious. A little disclaimer, it will obviously vary between different companies, so I cannot guarantee that you will have the exact same experience as I did, but once you understand the concepts in general, it will be easier for you to adapt. And honestly, that's what I'm aiming for. Adaptation rather than perfection. In the upcoming episodes, I will be talking about many different things related to working in IT companies, but some of the topics will be focused on Agile, Scrum, tickets estimations, code reviews, different roles in the tech teams, and many more. But today, I want to cover a quick introduction to project management tools like Jira or Asana. And now you may ask, what are these project management tools, right? At their core, they are trackers. But what does it mean? These are digital platforms where companies or teams can track every part of their development process. What needs to be built, what needs to be fixed, or what needs to be improved in their product. This is a single source of truth, which is available to everyone, and everyone can see what needs to be done, who's working on what, how much progress has been made, what's coming up next, and more and more. There are quite a few tools on the market right now. You might be familiar with some of them, but the most common are Jira, which could be just the most popular one, especially in larger companies or on larger projects. Asana, which would be great for smaller teams and non-technical tasks. Trello, compared to Jira, it is much simpler and more visual. It would be great for smaller and more straightforward projects. And then we've also got Linear, which has been gaining popularity lately. I don't really have any experience with that project management tool, but I put it here because it's new and shiny, and maybe that's exactly what you need. I work with Jira and I feel pretty confident about it, so my examples will be based on Jira. But don't you worry, because once you understand any of the tools, picking up another one will be much easier, because they all solve the same fundamental problems. Now that you know what they are, you might wonder, why do we need them? And honestly, there is no better way to explain that than by using an example. So let me give you one. Imagine you're working on a team of, let's say, 10 developers, designers, QAs, and product managers. And you're not using any project management tools. Sarah emails about a bug she found. Then Mike mentions a feature request in Slack. And your project manager assigns you a ticket verbally during a daily stand-up. Then a designer drops Figma files in a shared folder without any context. And very quickly after that, nobody knows who's working on and what the priorities are. And at the end of the day, you either need to store that information in your brain, which, as we know, is a very, very bad idea, or somewhere in the app, or maybe in a notebook, or maybe in Notes app on your computer, which again is not a very good idea. And you surely can see the issue and the chaos it will create, right? It is not good nor productive way of working, especially when you work in a team. It will get messy so quickly, you will not even realize that. And honestly, you don't want that. And this is exactly why companies invest in these project management tools, because they solve the most basic issues and they unblock people's focus and time to work on problems that actually need humans' input. So project management platforms solve a lot of problems. Like, for example, visibility and transparency issue. Everyone can see the big picture. Your manager knows exactly what you're doing, you can check what your teammates are working on, and stakeholders can track progress without you needing to update them every 5 minutes. Prioritization. These tools help the teams decide on what to work first. Not everything can be urgent. I know everything is always urgent, but honestly, not everything can be. And these platforms provide frameworks for making those tough decisions on what needs to be done first. Communication context. Instead of scattered conversations all over the place, all over your Slack and emails and everything and everywhere else, everything about a specific task happens in one place, inside that task. How convenient is that? You can see the full history of decisions, changes, updates, questions, and comments. Very easy, very clear. Accountability. When tasks are assigned clearly with deadlines and descriptions, it's much easier to track who's responsible for what and ensure that nothing falls through the cracks. And last but not least, planning and estimations. Teams can break down large projects into smaller, manageable pieces and estimate how long they will take. This helps with realistic deadline setting and resource allocation. Let's open Jira and talk about some key components of work management tools. What will probably interest you the most on your future project is the board view. This is how you visualize your work. The views will depend on the project and the framework you choose for yourself, but the most popular are definitely Kanban and Scrum boards, with columns showing workflow stages like to-do, in progress, code review, QA testing, and done. Apart from the board view, you also have a calendar view, in which tasks are organized by deadlines. You can also have a list view, which is a simple table showing all tasks with details. If you're especially interested in planning and timelines, you can go to Timeline tab. You will see all dependencies and project schedules with dates, and you will know exactly what you need to do and how you can plan your work. So on the left side, you have a pretty typical overview of all the features available to you. And when you go to view all projects, I only have one project, but the idea of the project is that this is a container that groups all your related tickets together. For example, here I have Jira introduction project with some example tickets. But on your real project, you may want to have a separate project for your mobile app, for your website, and maybe some additional project for your internal tools. Jira also provides the templates. For this project, I decided to go with the Scrum template. It's the one I'm most familiar with, but you can also have a Kanban board if that's what you need. You can have a list of personal tasks and even a product roadmap. I'm sure I already said that multiple times, but one of the strongest reasons to get these tools is that you can customize them. So yes, you can have different projects, which are containers, as I mentioned before. And inside these containers, you have tasks. So when I click on Jira Introduction, it will automatically take me to the board, which now is empty because I haven't started any of the sprints yet. But when you go to the backlog, you will see a list of tickets, right? Tickets are the individual units of work, which describe something that needs to be done on your project. Looking at the dummy tickets I have here, you can have a bug ticket to reset password on login page, or you can have a story to add user login with valid credentials. I'm not gonna go into details today about sprints and what exactly I'm doing at this point, but just so you know, when I click Start Sprint, the board will be filled with these tickets. The duration will be 2 weeks, and let's start. There it is. Right now, we have 4 tickets in to-do column. These columns on your board are statuses, and they are used to describe the status of the ticket. This is a great indicator at what state of work the ticket is currently in. So tickets can have different statuses. Let's go back to the backlog for just a second. You can see here that there is one work item, which is a shopping cart remove products functionality. And the fact that it's in the backlog may suggest that this idea hasn't been prioritized yet. Or maybe the ticket is not completely ready yet. Or maybe there is some discussion going on about priority. So this ticket is created, but it's not ready to be worked on yet. It's not planned for this sprint, so you cannot see it on the board. The to-do column is usually reserved for the approved work that is ready to start. So you can pick up any of these tickets and you can start working on them immediately. When you start working on a ticket, you want to put it in progress column because you're currently working on it. It is actively being worked on. Once you're done and you created a pull request and you assign people to check your pull request, you need to move it into code review, meaning that this ticket is waiting for other developers' feedback. Let's say it passed code review and you got a green light to move it to testing. This is your time to move this ticket to testing. It means that this ticket is currently being tested for bugs and for quality. Once the ticket is approved by QA and released to production and also checked on production that it surely works, you can move it to done column, meaning that the ticket was completed, deployed, and working. When it comes to moving tickets on the board, you can either do it that way, or you can go directly to ticket and change the status here. And it works that way too. You can also watch particular tickets. If a ticket is assigned to you, you will be watching this ticket by default. But let's say there's a ticket you're not working on, but you want to follow what's going on with that ticket, you can click on here and you can watch any updates happening in that ticket. We also shouldn't forget about priority levels. As I mentioned before, not everything can be urgent and not all the work is equally important. This is a vital part of the process. You need to figure out what is necessary, what is a blocker, what can wait, and what is a nice to have. There are a few default priority levels, but obviously you can add your own if you need to. So you can have a critical ticket, and it means that everything stops until this issue is fixed. This critical or blocker usually means that people are not able to use your service, to use your website, or that some of the critical functionality is broken. And when you have critical issues on your page, it usually means that you're losing a lot of money. You can also have a highest priority, meaning that this is the highest importance, but it's not critical. And then you have a medium priority, which is kind of a standard priority. And you can also have a low priority, meaning that it's a nice to have. You can work on this item when time allows, but it's not very high in the pipeline. These weird little numbers here are story point estimations. And this is a way of estimating your ticket, kind of a framework even. And the last part of the ticket view on the board is an assignee, or the owner of the ticket. Each ticket typically has an assignee. This means the person responsible for completing the work. There might also be reporters. These are people that created the ticket. When you pick up a ticket or you reserve a ticket, you should assign it to yourself, just like this. Apart from that, you can also add labels to the tickets. Like here, I added a front-end label, meaning that this ticket is purely front-end, but you can also have tickets that are a combination of back-end, front-end, and maybe even some other providers like Emersys. This is again another way of grouping tickets, of labeling tickets, of sorting them and giving them additional context. You can filter the tickets by sprint, by assignee, by work type, label, status, priority, and this filter list can be extended. What I'm showing you is a very simplified approach. Normally, you would have more data, you would have a bigger backlog, you would have more structure, probably more columns in that board, but this is an introduction, so I want to keep it that way, clear and simple. If you want to check it out for yourself, this is completely free. You can go create an account and see what capabilities it has, what you can do with it, and how you can customize it, because it is highly customizable. You can create custom issue types, you can add specific fields relevant to your workflow, and you can even set up automation rules. If you want to share your knowledge with people and you don't have any other software, you can also use Pages, in which you can create pages with documentation. You can add quick filters here so that you can quickly filter by assignees or by your team members. You can create custom fields in your tickets, like fixed version, meaning that you want to deploy this ticket to production, let's say next release. And your next release is release 11. So you can add a label with release 11. For managers, it will be especially beneficial to have overview pages showing charts, recent activity, and key metrics. Like here, you can have a look at sprint insights. You can have a look at sprint progress, recent activity, key metrics, built-in reports showing team velocity, burn down charts, and other metrics that can help teams improve their processes. In Jira, you can also go and customize your apps. you can go to Explore Apps. And if you're a developer, you might be especially interested in getting GitHub for Jira. So you just need to look for GitHub. And you can simply add it to your Jira like this. So if you have that GitHub integration and you created a pull request, you would get an additional field in details of your ticket called pull request, and you would be able to see a link to that specific pull request. As I said, it was built to make your life easier. This introduction to Jira should be sufficient to get you started in your new job, but if you're interested in getting more familiar with Jira, make sure to check out the links I left in the description of this video. A few pieces of advice for when you join your first IT company. Ask for a walkthrough. Don't be shy about asking your teammate to walk you through your company setup. Every organization customizes these tools differently, and you have the right to ask, and you should use that right, especially if it's not a part of onboarding. It should be, it might not be, but you should ask. Because in the long run, it will actually save you and your teammates a lot of time. Understand your team's workflow. Learn the specific states of the tickets. What does it mean that the ticket is done? What does it mean that the ticket is in code review? What does it mean that the ticket was deployed successfully to production? When do you move something to testing? When do you move something to on hold or to the backlog? Keep tickets updated. Move tickets through the workflow states as you work on them. Your teammates and managers rely on that information, so it always needs to be updated. It always needs to be as accurate as possible. Again, this is your source of truth. It needs to be up to date. Write clear comments. When you update a ticket, explain what you did, in what state that ticket is. If you encountered any blockers, you should also mention them. First of all, your future self will thank you, because maybe you suddenly go on a sick leave and you will get back to this ticket 2 weeks later. Do you think you will remember? Maybe you will because you have great memory, but for your sake and others people's sake, if someone needs to pick up this ticket instead of you, you should write that comment. It will take you a few minutes, but it might save a lot of time for someone or for you in the future. Use mentions appropriately. Most tools will let you tag people for notifications. That's a great feature, but don't overdo it. You don't need to mention half the company. You should always mention only relevant people. The people that you need input from, or the people that you suspect might have some information. Keep people in the loop, but only relevant people. Don't forget to attach relevant information. You have screenshots of bugs? Maybe you have a video how you encountered that bug. Great! Slap it on. Add it to the ticket. We have some links to documentation. Amazing! Or maybe you have some code snippets. Use that. Anything that is relevant and can possibly help people should be added to the ticket. This way, you add context that helps people understand the work. Because again, this is your source of truth. And that's your intro to project management platforms. In the next video, I'll be diving into Scrum and Kanban, which are the frameworks that determine how most of these tools are used in your day-to-day life. If this video helped reduce some of your anxiety and stress about starting in tech, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content in the future. And here's my question to you. Have you used any of these project management platforms before, either in tech or in other companies? And if there was only one tool you had to choose for the rest of your life, what would it be? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.